Have you ever had everything, strength, fame, a clear purpose, and then lost it all because of one fatal choice? If you skip this story, you might miss a truth that could save your own destiny. But if you stay until the end, you'll uncover how the strongest man in history was defeated, not by an army, but by love. Long ago, the nation of Israel was enslaved by the ruthless Philistines. Their people cried out day and night for a deliverer, and even before the answer was born, God had already planned their salvation. In a small village, an angel of the Lord appeared to a barren woman. "You will conceive and bear a son," the angel declared. "No wine, no unclean food, and no razor shall ever touch his head." This child was to be consecrated to God as a Nazirite from birth. His destiny, to begin the liberation of Israel. The child was born, and his parents named him Samson. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and a strength beyond human measure filled his body. He could tear a lion apart with his bare hands as if it were a young goat. He could lift massive city gates from their hinges and carry them on his shoulders to the top of a hill. He was unstoppable, a one-man army, until his heart began to wander. Samson fell deeply in love with a Philistine woman from a town called Timnah. His parents pleaded with him, "Is there no woman among your own people, among your relatives?" But Samson refused to listen. He followed his desire instead of his divine calling. At the wedding feast, he posed a riddle to the Philistine guests. Out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. When they couldn't solve it after 3 days, they resorted to threats, cornering his new bride. "Coax your husband into explaining the riddle for us," they warned, "or we will burn you and your father's household to the ground." Terrified, she betrayed Samson and revealed the answer. Enraged by their deceit, Samson was filled with the Spirit of the Lord, struck down 30 of their men, and left his bride behind. The Philistines retaliated. In response, Samson captured 300 foxes, tied torches to their tails, and released them into the grain fields, vineyards, and olive groves of the Philistines, burning their harvest to ashes. Furious, they sent an army to capture him. They convinced his own people to tie him up and hand him over. But as the Philistines rushed toward him, shouting in triumph, Samson broke free from the ropes that bound him as if they were singed threads. Grabbing the fresh jawbone of a donkey, he killed 1,000 men. He stood alone, victorious, dust rising around him. But in that moment of triumph, pride was whispering in his soul, louder than faith. Yet, when he cried out to God for water in his exhaustion, God provided, and Samson's strength was renewed. Years passed, and Samson judged Israel. But temptation never stopped knocking at the door of his heart. In the valley of Sorek, he met a woman named Delilah. Her beauty was dangerous, her touch intoxicating. Samson loved her with all his heart, but she loved silver far more than she loved him. The Philistine rulers saw their opportunity. They came to her with an offer. "Find the secret of his great strength, and we will each give you 1,100 shekels of silver." Delilah agreed. That night, as he rested, she asked softly, "Tell me, Samson, my love, where does your great strength come from? How can you be tied up and subdued?" Samson, toying with her, said, "If they tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not yet dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he slept, she tied him. Then she shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He snapped the bowstrings as easily as a thread snaps when it touches a flame. Delilah pouted, pretending to be heartbroken. "You have mocked me and told me lies." Days later, she pressed him again. "If they bind me tightly with new ropes that have never been used," Samson told her, "I shall be weak." She tried it, and he snapped the ropes off his arms like thread. Her face darkened. "How can you say I love you?" she accused, "when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me." Every day she pressed him. Every night she whispered, pleaded, and wept, nagging him until his soul was wearied to the point of death. Finally, he broke. Samson told her everything. "My strength lies in my hair," he confessed. "A razor has never been used on my head, because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." Delilah knew that this time he had told her the truth. She sent a message to the Philistine lords. "Come up once more, for he has told me all his heart." As Samson slept on her lap, she called in a man to shave off the 7 locks of his hair. His covenant with God was broken, and in that moment the Spirit of the Lord departed from him. "The Philistines are upon you, Samson," she cried out. He awoke and thought, "I'll go out as I did before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. His strength was gone. The soldiers seized him, gouged out his eyes, and bound him in bronze shackles. Blind, humiliated, the hero of Israel was thrown into a prison in Gaza. There he was forced to grind grain like an ox, a public spectacle of shame. But in that darkness, in that complete and utter despair, something miraculous happened. His hair began to grow again, and with each strand, his faith, long forgotten, quietly returned. One day the Philistines gathered for a grand festival to honor their god, Dagon. The temple was crowded with rulers, nobles, and about 3,000 men and women on the roof, all celebrating. They shouted, "Bring out Samson to entertain us!" The blind man was led by a young servant into the temple, and the massive hall filled with mockery and laughter. "Let me feel the pillars on which this temple stands," Samson said to the boy, "so that I may lean on them." The boy guided his hands to the 2 massive columns at the center of the structure. With his hands on the pillars, Samson whispered a final, desperate prayer. "O Lord God, remember me. Please strengthen me just this once." His muscles tensed, his heart pounded. The crowd roared with laughter, completely unaware of what was about to happen. "Let me die with the Philistines!" Samson shouted, and with all his might he pushed. The pillars cracked, the temple trembled, the roof collapsed with a thunderous roar, burying everyone inside. In that single final moment, Samson killed more of his enemies in his death than he had in his entire life. As the dust settled, a profound silence filled the air. The blind warrior, broken and redeemed, had fulfilled his purpose. His family later came and retrieved his body, burying him in the land of his ancestors, where his incredible story first began. Samson's tale is a powerful account of tragedy and grace. A man chosen by God, blessed with divine strength, yet undone by his own unchecked desires. But even at his lowest point, abandoned and blind, God's mercy found him. His final act wasn't just revenge, it was redemption. God used a broken man to accomplish a divine purpose. The story of Samson and Delilah teaches us a timeless lesson. Strength without wisdom is just weakness, and power without purpose leads only to destruction. We must guard our hearts, for that is where our true strength lies. We can't afford to trade our calling for temporary pleasure or a fleeting false love. But the story also shows us that, like Samson, our greatest comeback can happen after our deepest fall. Did Samson deserve forgiveness for his choices? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a message of hope, and subscribe for more extraordinary stories. Thanks for watching.